Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to episode 5 of Great Monday Summer School. I hope we're not
I'm
going
like,
to
wait,
10.
that's 10.
That's
No,
10,
five.
yes.
Five.
Episode 5. And today we are going to be talking about rituals. Why are we talking about rituals? Because rituals build and strengthen the synapses of culture, which are relationships. With me, as always, is the incredibly bright and brilliant,
Is that why you're wearing your
beaming,
sunglasses?
beaming Rachel Davis, ladies and gentlemen.
I was wondering if that's why you're wearing your sunglasses. I
It,
was just so bright
you
that you couldn't
were.
handle it.
Exactly. It has nothing to do with my ring light right here. Rachel is here as always to help us work our way through the incredible Miro verse, which is where we have built our templates for this exercise. For all these exercises, we have 6 templates live on the Miroverse, and we're going to walk you through template number 5 today.
Yeah. All right. Let's get started. Let's get this party started.
Boop, boop. Doot, 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 doot. Party started. All right, rituals. So, rituals is a 5th component of culture as articulated in Great Mondays, my book. You can see here the other, all 6 of them together: purpose, values, behaviors, recognition, rituals, and cues. We are here. What are rituals? Recurring group activities that build and strengthen relationships. So, these are things that help people come together and get to know each other. Now, I will say one thing that is very important to note that I didn't know when I was writing the book, which was before the pandemic and before distributed work, is that rituals have become even more important. I would even go as far as to say in the next 5 years, the biggest challenge most organizations are going to face, if they are distributed or hybrid or some version therein, is going to be relationship building. There is a study that came out from Microsoft that said workers have been getting closer, getting to know, strengthening their relationships with their immediate teams more, and they have been loosening or weakening the relationships with their extended team. And that's important because ritual relationships are the synapses of culture. That's how culture gets transmitted. So if you're working hard to define this culture, going through all 6 steps, and you have articulated that and you have this goal in mind, if people don't know each other, that culture will not transmit. And in addition, if they don't know who these people are when they, need to go find something or request something or do something more collaborative, it's a lot harder if you don't know them already or don't have a good relationship. So that is the importance of rituals. Here we go. All right,
Yes.
Rachel, tell
All right.
tell us what we've won.
Which, well, you've already won because you get to hear us talk. No, wait. That's
Yep. No, it's true. It's true.
all right. Okay, so this is your little starting area on your Miro template, and as we have on all of our Miroverse templates, there's a little bit about when you would do this activity, and Josh will get to that in a second. And then, of course, again, you can work with your team. Don't have a team, you can do this on your own. They've been set up for about 10 participants, but can be easily customized because this template is your own once you download it from the Miroverse, or once you use it from the Miroverse. There's no downloading, just click use this template. It'll put in your team as long as you are signed into Miro. So when would we do this rituals quick start activity, Josh?
Well, the first moment that you would think about this is if you're growing, your organization's growing quickly. And here I've got this little note that says staff say they don't know everyone anymore. And what happens is typically when an organization hits between 50 and 100 people, it gets real hard for people to know one another and or know the new people. It just takes a lot of energy. And so they're going to naturally form little groups, which you might call silos, depending on how they work together, what projects they're on. So
Or clicks.
or clicks. Yeah, absolutely. The other one is, like I said, you're distributed, global, or hybrid. So if people are all over the place and don't have opportunities to connect with one another, this is a great way to do it.
All right. Well, should we get right into the activity then?
Let's dive into it. How do we
All right.
create rituals? So, how will employees build and strengthen relationships? So, what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be talking through how to identify what rituals you have, how to evaluate them, and how to create some new rituals. Now, before we do that, I want to tell you about the 4 different kinds of rituals that exist. And I've organized this into 4 so that we have a better understanding of all the ways that we might connect with one another. There are 4 types. Explicit small group rituals, explicit big group rituals, emergent big group rituals, and emergent small group rituals. So you'll see there's 2 different variables here, explicit to emergent. So what that means is explicit is something the company says we're going to be doing. Emergent is something that just happens to happen. Rachel's going to put us over here to the little graphic. Happens to happen. It emerges because someone just started doing it. So explicit, the company does it. Emergent, it just starts to happen. The other one is a little more obvious, big group to small group. So small group, it's 3 people, it's 10 people, it's 15 people. Big group, it's more of the organization, a large group, a business unit, the whole company perhaps. So that's that's the way that we think about it. So we'll start with number 1, explicit small group. Stay over there on the left
Oh,
hand. So
oops.
that's okay.
Getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I know you're very excited. That's cool. All right,
There you go.
explicit small group activities. So here's company sponsored activities among limited number of employees. So this is going to have a little softball there. So this is going to be something like a company sponsored team, or maybe getting together for Habitat for Humanity, or doing a little fundraiser, something like
Toys for
that.
Tots is what I used to do. Used to
Oh, all
organize
right.
the Toys
Yeah.
for Tots. Yeah.
Toys for Tots. Perfect. That's exactly right. So, it's not the whole company. It's just a little group. Now, the one above it, explicit, it's also explicit, but it's big group. So this is going to be a company sponsored activity that reaches a large portion of employees. The typical version of this is the holiday party. That's the typical, most organizations have that in some capacity.
Award ceremonies.
Award ceremonies, exactly. Some sort of banquet. That's going to be your classic explicit big group. Now, number 3 is an emergent big group ritual. Now, this is something that has occurred organically and grown into a large group. And typically what happens is that this activity will have started as an emergent small group ritual and grown into a big group. So emergent small group ritual, I have here a little guitar because one of my clients had a little band that had, got to some folks together, and there was 4 of them, and they would practice sometimes in the afternoons, once a week. And that's great. I love that idea. It's a common thing to bring together. And then at the top right, the story I tell in the book is about the data time Jeopardy calendar. So it was an engineering firm, and there was one of the engineers had a day in the time Jeopardy calendar. He worked on it, or would go through it, answer it with his cubicle mate, and then everybody just loved it. And so it became so big, it grew into the whole department, and they would do it at the end of the week. I love that. And they would keep score for the whole year. So great.
Yeah.
That's such a great, honest way to do that. And so that's the power of Emergent, is looking for those things that are authentic to your organization, your culture. All right. Now that we have that,
now I can move forward.
Now you can move forward. So step number one, what you're going to do is you're going to start listing with your ambassadors, or your team, or your group, or even by yourself, what rituals already exist within the organization. And you're going to go through and think about each group, and you're going to think, do we have this, or does another group have this? So in our case, we've written down a few of them that our pretend company that we've been working on has. So bottom left-hand corner, a small group explicit is we do lightning talks. And lightning talks are what are lightning talks, Rachel?
Quick 15-minute talks. Talk about something you are passionate about, you know how to do really well, you're an expert at. It's like if I gave a 15-minute lightning talk on Miro templates.
So meta. That's great. Exactly. All right, so that goes in that bucket along with whatever other ones you might be able to surface in that
Like
discussion.
scheduled movie nights. There we go. Right?
Great, love
There you
it,
go.
perfect.
All right.
Okay, big group explicit going around the circle here. So we have a holiday party that we do, and we also do have award ceremonies. So that's cool. Um,
Hmm.
Award ceremonies, you'll recall that recognition is in fact was the fourth component that we worked on. And if you have an award ceremony, that can also act as a ritual. That is something that you do regularly. So it's fine. It can be a little bit of both. We can blur the
Hmm.
lines if it serves a certain
It would
function.
be a ritual where you would recognize behaviors aligned with values.
Perfect. Exactly. I'm gonna retire and Rachel's gonna take over.
All right, what do
Okay.
we got next?
And then we've got, let's say, a big group emergent. So Rachel wants to do. Why don't you tell us about the birthday present
Yeah,
project?
so something we have a motto which started out just kind of recognizing people on their birthday, and then it turned into the whole company doing things for people on their birthday. The last one we did for one of the founders actually was the whole team got together and made her a custom cocktail recipe, and we someone did the design, we all hopped on a toast, and it was just something the team gets together with. That before that, for the other founder, we did a video blitz of everyone telling her how much we appreciated her, and it was just something that emerged organically. It wasn't something that we planned,
I love it.
and it
So
was the
good.
whole company involved. So
That's so good.
big
That's
group.
good. Big group. And then small group explicit emergent. Sorry, you might find a cooking interest group has formed organically, where a couple folks are like, oh, I have a recipe. Why don't we share recipes? Why don't we'll do some cooking together, or we'll do cooking over Zoom, or whatever it might be. I don't know what this particular cooking interest group does, but it's there, it's emerged, and I think there's some nice opportunities here.
Absolutely. Now, should we maybe write some new rituals for each of these? We want to start back at number one.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so
Let me get a little post-it on there.
post it. Let's think about some new rituals. Oh, one thing I do want to note is if you have a quadrant that is doesn't have a lot, or maybe doesn't
Oh,
even have any rituals, that's a good cue. That's a good indicator that you need to think about whether you've not identified them, or maybe if it's emergent, you're like, I don't know if there are any. Maybe folks don't feel like they have permission to do it. So that would be, it's an interesting way to assess kind of where it is. If everything's in big group explicit, then you need to
mhm.
start focusing on some of the other ones, because those are
And
all the ways.
yeah, we did skip over a step though, didn't we, Josh? Where for the existing rituals, my fault, warp speed. What works and what doesn't, right?
Okay,
So,
let's do that. Why don't we go through that?
yeah. What do we want to do each one, or we want to pick a couple here? I know we have some things to say about the holiday party of what
Yeah,
works and what doesn't.
that's
So,
right.
so
Let's start there. So let's start with the holiday party, and we'll say, okay, what is working about the holiday party? What do we like about the holiday party?
it's a time not to think about work.
Great, perfect. Um,
Hmm.
Social lubricant helps.
Yes. Now, what's not? That's what's working. Is there anything that doesn't work? We can always add. We can add one here.
Yeah,
So let's say this works.
let's.
That's not how you spell works. Works.
This is what doesn't, maybe
Yeah,
different color.
works. Feel free to make a different color if you want. So what doesn't work?
Not everyone enjoys these or doesn't
Hmm.
drink. Not everyone. And well, the big one that we came up with, and we'll organize this in just a second, but the big one we came up with is that we don't live in the same city anymore.
Yeah.
It's not easy to come together. because we're all distributed. So holiday parties were awesome when everybody lived within driving distance of the office, but no longer, and so that's problematic.
And it gets costly, right? If
It
you're
does.
flying, so it's something to take into account. All right, and
Perfect.
any others that we want to kind of do? What works, what doesn't?
I think the lightning. Let's talk about
Yeah,
lightning.
lightning talks. Well, so what
So
works about those?
they're fast, easy.
Fast,
I would say fast and easy.
fast and easy, like
Works.
summertime.
um, what works? So the other one is we get to share new sides of ourselves. So I can
What
tell
and
you
what?
that I can teach you how to fix a bike or something like that. And we're like, oh, that's cool.
Oh, yeah.
What doesn't work about lightning talks? Um, well, we did talk previously about how our new value is about celebrating mistakes, and lightning talks are often about what I know how to do already or what I've
Yeah,
succeeded at. So
it's
it's like,
limiting.
oh, good. Limiting is excellent. Limiting is excellent. That's right. Exactly.
There we go.
All right.
All
That's good.
right.
That's good.
Do you think that gives us a good idea of what works and what doesn't, or do we want to
I
do one more?
Well, I do. So what I'll say is, why do we do this? It's basically to understand how effective these are and where they could be improved. And maybe you want to look at this and say, you know what, lightning talks aren't going to work. We're going to do something
Mm-hmm.
new, or they are working and we're going to improve it this way. So
We could talk about what we do new. That's a great transition,
let's do it.
right? If
Let's
we're
talk about
gonna
it.
write a new ritual, our new ritual might be lunch and fail,
Lunch and fails,
learn.
learn and learn.
And
And
learn.
this was the one
Lunch
that
and fail and learn.
Lunch and fail
There
and
we go.
learn. This one is what we came up with in behaviors episode 3 to as a new behavior that we're gonna use to live our see the magic in the everyday or or everything. I can't remember which one it was, and
In
that's
the everyday, the
every
magic.
day, the magic in the everyday. And the power of this is the reason why we think this is really good is because we get to make it okay to fail, and that's the only way that we can really innovate and learn is if we are making it okay to fail. So we're going to do that now. Again, here's another example of some action or behavior or item or event that lives in two categories. This came out of behaviors, but it's also a ritual, and that's awesome. That totally works.
All right. What we go up to this one? There were
Mm-hmm.
some things that weren't working, right? And what's a new
And
kind of way to create those relationships, right? We talked about our other value was creating relationships, and that was the other value we talked about. What's the ritual doesn't necessarily have to align with any of those existing rituals, right? It could be a whole new ritual.
yep.
And so what do we talk about here? I think this was
Well, we're solving
magical
for yeah,
off-sites, or weeks together as a
off-site weeks.
team.
Yep. So we're solving
Yeah.
for this global hybrid team. What we're going to do, and what a lot of organizations have started to do, is if they're, let's say, 100% distributed, they a number of organizations have realized the importance of bringing people
Mhm.
together, rituals. And so they have offsites where teams, they fly
Mhm.
everybody in together and
I
spend a
believe
week.
Buffer does this.
Buffer totally
Buffer,
does
and
this.
even before the pandemic.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Absolutely. So that is a really good way to think about this. So we're going to propose replacing the holiday party with magical offsites at least once a year.
all right. Let's look at our other two quadrants. I think here we had some new rituals we wanted to write for those. So let's look at emergent big group, and emergent is a little weird when looking at new rituals, right? So how
Yeah.
would people approach these?
Well, so because you want um, this to show up organically, not something that you're going to say we should start doing this, is it's more about setting up a framework or encouraging people to start doing this. So actually, I'm going to say let's start with number 4, emergent small group.
Yeah, let's start with that
And
one.
so, for example, what I have learned is that what's a powerful way to build relationships are common interests. And so we're going to say, let's let's do this one is the small one is
Oh, small one.
the small, yeah,
That's
you got
wrong
that one.
one.
That
Wrong
one's for the
one.
next one. So the small one is we're going to
Encouragement.
encourage people to start
Create.
channels. Just start with Slack channels or Teams channels of shared interests. So if you've got you're someone that is passionate about role playing, or someone that's passionate about cycling, or you've got you got the new moms group, or you've got the new dads group, or you've got people that are kitten lovers, whatever that common thread is, that is going to be a great way to
Kitten lovers.
kitten. I mean, who doesn't love kittens, right?
People who
So,
are allergic.
I mean, you can still love. I mean, that's the power of
You
Slack,
could
right?
love
You don't
them. You
have to.
could
You're
love
not
them
going to
from
sneeze
afar.
just by looking at them.
All right.
The
And look at
so
that. I was failing in real time there trying to do the wrong quadrant.
that's fine. We fail and learn. We fail up
Yeah,
and
we
fail
do.
forward.
All right.
So let's just restate that, since there was a little bit of a winding
Yeah.
logic there. So what we've done here is, how do we create a new ritual when it's not something that we want to be actually dictating and creating? We want to say, here's a way we are going to provide permission or a recommendation to create these groups. We believe that it's important for people to find common interest groups. You have the authority to create a new channel, find the people that you care, that want to bring these people together. We're going to make sure that that's okay. It is okay for you to do as the leadership of the organization. We're going to get out of the way, and we're going to say, yep, you can absolutely spend your time on this. So that is going to be the powerful way to encourage emergent small group.
It's a framework.
It's a framework. You did. Look at that. She just did that. She just did that. It's incredible. This woman's
Hey,
mind is just boom.
would you
Boom.
would you call that emergent?
That is an emergent pictogram. All
All
right.
right.
Finally, big group emergent. So these are really powerful. I'll say this again. This is what I think is the queen ritual. It's like, if it is authentic, it is compelling, and it is incorporating a lot of the people inside the organization, a majority of the people. That is going to be that is a powerful tool, and you should, as the leaders of an organization, look for the opportunities for those to grow, support, and perhaps even fund. So Rachel and I were talking about this beforehand, and we were talking about how might we encourage a big group emergent ritual. And so what did we come up with?
I think we said allow for ad hoc pitch days focused on experimentation, right? So if you schedule it, it's not emergent, right? But if you create the environment for it and say, hey, there is the space for you to do this as you need, and pitch ideas or something around something you want to try or experiment, right? We're making the space for
we
that.
have a budget for it. The
Mm-hmm.
organization says we're going to allot X number of dollars or whatever, and the time, and we're going to say, go for it. We want to hear what your ideas are. And if we can encourage them and say, look, we want to bring everybody together, either to assess the pitches or to bring everybody together to learn how to experiment, that is going to be a really great way to bring folks together and create this emergent big group activity.
And it's really powerful too, because you're showing that you're invested in that, and it ties back to those values that we were talking about.
Exactly, exactly. All right, let's move over to our final step here. We are almost there. This one's a little bit of a longer one, but oh man, is it worth it? I know that you're feeling it. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to be a little more rigorous, just a tad, just a skosh more rigorous on the assessing of these new rituals. So take a look. Let's take a look, and we've got our
Which one you
lunch.
want to start with?
Let's start with lunch and fail and learn. So we've got some
All
key
right.
questions here. Got some key questions. And again, not necessarily saying yes, this is like if you answer 3 out of 4, it's a go, but it's really a way of kind of facilitating a little more critical
Mm-hmm.
thinking in this. So I think a good question to ask here is who would be a suitable leader for this activity? So who is going to demonstrate and model this? Who's going to announce it? Who's going to be the right person? Is it someone from L&D? Could be
Mm-hmm.
learning and development.
Let's
Could be,
see. L&D leader.
or could be
Oops. No.
someone who's it could be
Could be the
the
chief of staff.
chief of staff, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, those
Okay.
are all totally viable options. Okay. Where is the opportunity here? Where is the opportunity? What is it that you are providing? What is this doing for us? So lunch and learn and fail, we've already talked about making failing acceptable, something like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Making
And
mistakes
mhm,
accepted.
good.
Mhm.
And I would say uh, learning about our colleagues, learning about peers.
All right. I would also say on this, right, the opportunity here is so you're learning about your peers, but it's also an opportunity to create open communication,
Mm,
right? Because you're communicating about failures, right? And it's creating a more transparent environment of communication.
I love it. Very good. All right. So now, what support does it need? So does it need money? Does it need time? Does it need space? Does it need, a Zoom account? I don't know. So, yep, no meeting conflicts. So how do you,
Mm-hmm.
if you're like, I'm going to do it on a 2 o'clock on a Tuesday and there's always meetings, then that's not going to succeed. So maybe we set up some time. If it's lunch is always off on this day. You don't have to attend, but you don't have a meeting at that time. I
Mm-hmm.
would say that's one. And then probably some sort of scheduling or like call for
Budget
entries.
for
Yep.
lunch too. Okay, so call
Yep.
for entries.
Yep. That's good.
Call for entries and speakers. All
Good.
right.
Fantastic. And then finally, is it inclusive? Can everybody participate? I think so. Probably everybody can participate. This is a remote activity. It could be a remote activity. It could be a
Mm-hmm.
in-person activity.
Could
Anybody
be
can.
hybrid.
Could be hybrid. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
absolutely. So that's no problem here. No problem. All
All
right.
right.
Let's go ahead and let's do it. Why don't we do it for, we'll do one more
Yeah.
uh,
Which one do you want to do?
questions. Let's do the magical offsites. Weeks together as a team. I'm
All
pretty
right.
passionate about magic and I'm pretty passionate about offsites.
All right.
All right. So, key question here. Does it facilitate new connections?
I think so.
Absolutely. We're getting together in person and we're learning about magic. I mean, hello.
Mm-hmm.
Come
Yeah.
on. Um, is it consistent? So this is an interesting question. Consistency, it's rituals are repeated activities. So if you do it once, that's great. Now, is this something that we're going to commit to? Maybe we announce that it's a prototype we're going to work on. But so the question is, I mean, this should be if it works and people are, it succeeds
Mm-hmm.
at creating those new connections, it should be consistent so that people know in the spring for this week,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is, it's going to be happening regularly every year or, twice
Mm-hmm.
a year, whatever it is. Consistency is really important when it comes to this.
Yeah. And I think the way you might ask that yourself that question, right, is the same way you might ask the next one. Is it budgeted for it? Is there the opportunity for it to be consistent moving forward? Right?
Hmm.
Like, have you made space for it to be consistent moving forward? I think we have.
Fantastic. Love to see those pink checks. Um, Is it budgeted for? It ain't gonna happen if it's not budgeted for. I mean, we got a budget for it, especially this kind of
Yeah.
thing, right? So absolutely, we've
Hmm.
already got the budget for it. We saved it on all that square footage in downtown. We don't have to
Hmm.
lease an office, so that's all that money's going there. And then finally, is it inclusive? If you pay for everybody and you feel like
Yes.
probably most people can attend. Now there could be folks that they have to take care of some of
Mhm.
their elders or their kids. We got to be aware of that. So what does that mean? Is there a way to foster that and to solve for that? I don't know.
That's a good question, right? Because if we were thinking about it the way we thought about it initially as an offsite, it's good that we use that language because right now I would say it's not inclusive, right? What if there is another pandemic restriction and we can't all be there in person? We need to make accommodations for how that might be hybrid or remote. And right now, the way we stated it, it's not really inclusive for that. So that's a way to call that out here in your evaluation and
Now it's
discover that.
Yeah, exactly. Now is it a showstopper? Not necessarily. It's just
No,
a way to critically think about this.
absolutely.
Amazing. All right. So we've gone through the basic steps for this exercise and learned how to create rituals that are going to support, build, and strengthen relationships, the synapses of culture, and this incredibly colorful slide. If you want more information, check it out on the book. Go to greatmondays.com or sign up for 1 Minute Mondays, the email where we share easy, simple tools in a quick email once a month to help you build your culture, like these templates. And stop screen share, and that's right, we are on to the final class of the semester of summer school, Great Monday Summer School episode. I know it's been a long semester, but we are almost there. It is episode 6, class 6. We're going to be talking about cues, connecting everything back together in one big virtuous cycle.
And this one is really fun to hear from people on what rituals because
Oh,
even though it might apply to your company, there are things we can learn from each other about rituals going on in other companies, like the birthday story I shared. Right? Knowledge is only power when shared. Right? Like there's nothing you said. Even some of these activities are based on others. Right? Nothing is completely unique. It's how you apply it to your company that makes that unique. So it's great when people share the other things like, oh, you might get an idea, how can we make customize that or do something different or play off of that. It's the yes and technique there.
and all the kind of the old rules about what we used to do, the traditional offsite or the holiday party, they're all out the window. And so we are definitely looking at, and I'm really looking around and saying, what are the opportunities to create new distributed rituals? How do we do this? What does it digitally look like? And so if you've got anything interesting to share, you've a success story or a failure story, go ahead and share that with us on the LinkedIn
Only
page.
if they bring pizza, failure and pizza.
Failure and pizza. That's make it go down a little smoother. Share it on our Great Mondays LinkedIn company page. We'd love to hear back from you or in the comments below. Thank you so much for sticking it out. We got one more episode class left, so we'll see you there.